First and foremost, before we start this, I want to say a big thanks to the Living Lounge in Derby City Centre for hosting us today in their venue. Short notice, but yeah, they pulled it off and we're in, so shout out to the Living Lounge. If you're in Derby City Centre, come and check it out. You've got man like KB on the decks and KGB doing their thing around here, so a couple man coming in from Brum. So yeah, this is the spot, this is the Derby spot right now. There ain't nowhere else to go, so unless you're going to end up in like a pot world or something, I can't really see you doing that. But anyway, this is the Live Large vlog, and we've got Mr. Josh Hvaal with us. What's your DJ name?
Same, mate, yeah.
Go by your government name?
Literally, yeah, like the same one that's on my birth certificate.
Okay, well that works. You know what I mean? Listen, like, you know who's calling when they're trying to call you up. So basically, when I met Josh, probably about 3 or 4 years ago now, it was a thing where Josh was learning the game and trying to ask me for tips and how to get into it, and I gave him what I could, basically. A little bit about the technical side of things, just like little bits and jibs and jabs of info. And now, he's on the platform now, but we'll get to that. So, one of the things we always ask people is like, what brought you to where you are, and how was your educational upbringing like?
Musically?
No, just in general. Yeah. What was school like for you?
Yeah, it was sound, to be fair. I was, well, I'm from Chester originally, but then moved to Derby when I was like, I don't know, like 12-ish. Yeah. And then I went to secondary school at John Port, and then we lived in Ilton. And then, yeah, kind of since then, went to college and stuff like that, did engineering, and then went on and got a job in Derby, or in Staffordshire. But yeah, so yeah, it kind of all started from well, musically it started younger, but kind of really got into it when I was living in Derby, really, from quite a young age, so yeah.
So what piqued your interest?
It was crazy, really, because it was like I started DJing when I was like 9, but before then there was always like house and dance music that was playing in the house, which kind of like naturally kind of piqued your interest a little bit, and it was always playing, so there was always that, and then there'd be like bands and stuff like that were playing, and whatever. My mum loving 80s music like she does, karaoke, shout out Big Suze. But yeah, so I'd always kind of listen to music, and it was always playing in the house, and then I think it was kind of a bit of a natural progression then, and then started kind of DJing age 9 and doing
kind of like family parties and stuff?
Yeah, like I remember we used to play for the football team and stuff like that, so we used to do like, there'd be like gatherings and stuff like that in like King's Head in Ilton and stuff like that, and just like there kind of learning to DJ a little bit and playing and stuff like that. But yeah, it was always something that I'd always, because I've been around music so much, I always had like quite an extensive backlog of music that I wanted to play, and then naturally kind of progressed from kind of more commercially stuff into sort of more dance music, because that's what was kind of playing at the time and stuff like that. So yeah,
and that's where you're now with the dance music.
That's it. Yeah.
So you've completed school GCSEs?
GCSEs, yeah, they didn't go too bad, and then I went straight to college and did engineering there.
What sort of engineering?
It was like more of a broad thing. It was more, it kind of covered everything from like mechanical to whatever, and then yeah, I was there 2 years and then got an apprenticeship, and then yeah, just working since then, really.
So was it hard to get the apprenticeship?
Yes and no. I'd applied for a few, and then I managed to get interviewed, and then that went quite well, and then yeah, I got the job that I'm in, and I've been in it for now like 6 years. Yeah. So yeah, I was an apprentice and then got took on full time after. Yeah.
So what do you actually do as a day job?
I'm a quality engineer. So
what does that mean?
I look after the quality of, we build a specific part of a machine. So
I want to stop you. It's not said that he works for one of the biggest engineering companies in the world. It's just skip that part. So I'm going to say he actually works at JCB. Yeah. Massive engineering company. Employs a hell of a lot of people all over the world, and he's been there 6 years.
Yeah.
Feel that info.
Thank you. Just like name drop Mr. Bamford, thank you. Lord Bamford. No, I'd say I've worked at JCB for like 6 years now. Yeah. So yeah, I started as an apprentice and then worked my way through. and then now I've ended up being a quality engineer. So yeah, like get to grips with the business as an apprentice and then progress from there really.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So obviously it's and I don't want to get you sacked or anything, but it's not something you see yourself doing in the
I can't
next
say this on camera,
30
right?
years.
Come on, man.
Well, it's all about chasing a dream.
Yeah,
isn't
of course it is. Don't get me wrong, like I enjoy working at JCB. I promise, Mr. Bamford. Honestly, I can film me P45 on my desk when I go in tomorrow morning. I think long term, like I feel like my life is kind of going in a direction where, from the beginning, it's always been about music, and I feel like now I'm in a position where it's like I can see what I want to do and where I want to go. And don't get me wrong, like a lot of people will stick in engineering, but my real passion is music.
Yeah.
You know, making music
I
and
think
playing to
that's
people.
That's like, I think a lot of DJs I know, the music is the heartbeat. You know what I mean? No matter what genre of music it is.
Yeah.
But some just don't have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, the thing is, the music industry is so hard to go, right, I'm going to drop everything and then just do that, because you know, everybody's got commitments and stuff like that, you know, the financial stability of working a 9 till 5 and stuff like that, you know, where the music industry is a little bit more difficult and it's a little bit more like, you might get some sets here, you might not, you know, you might be making music from your production and making money from your productions and stuff like that. So I think long term I'd love to be able to do it, and that's ultimately where I'm pushing myself towards now. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of.
So what sort of gigs and where have you been playing recently? What were your first your first paid gig?
My first paid gig actually was probably when I was about, I want to say 10. I played at the King's Head in Hilton Harriers, oi oi, and it was literally like one of their dues, and I remember going down with all my gear and stuff like that and getting paid to do it then. And yeah, I think I've always kind of, after that, kind of think there's something about playing to people. I can't compare bloody playing to that to like what I'm doing now, but it's like there's just something about it, and I imagine you're exactly the same. When you play to people, you see them having a good time, and there's nothing better. There's no better feeling in the world.
Of making people shuffle.
Oh mate, yeah, too right. But yeah, I think moving forward, it wasn't until I dropped, stupidly really thinking about it, I dropped music when I was like, I don't know, probably in my mid-teens, and then I went back to it, went through a bit of a weird EDM phase, and then kind of realigned myself back to where my roots are of kind of underground dance music. Yeah. And then I played a little bit down in London I had a residency down there, so I was down there like maybe every month or every other month, depending on what it was, and playing in clubs like Egg and Fire and Lightbox and XOYO, which was really cool. And that was kind of although I played around here, that was just, it's going down there and playing in clubs like that, it kind of like...
It's a different level, isn't it?
Totally different level.
And a different space, different heads.
Yeah, too right.
One thing that used to get me about like playing in certain venues, and it's like, you tend to see the same heads every week.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which is not a bad thing, because like you build up a bit of a following and people know who you are. And maybe see, but like after, like it's just like... Yeah, it's the ones that are all right. They're just all right, but the ones that are a bit off key and a bit weird, you're like, why are you here again? Do you know what I mean?
I know, mate. I imagine between us we've probably got some crazy like club stories of people that are there.
I think what we'll actually do is get all the DJs together and have a chat about the strange stories from the nightclub.
There's some so strange ones, especially like dance music wise, because I remember going to like clubs before, and I remember being in the booth with like a couple of guys that were playing, and it's all like tech house, dance music. And then you've got people coming up asking for like APO and stuff like that. And you're like, bro, it ain't that type of gig, you know what I mean?
Definitely in the wrong spot.
I know, yeah. It's like the wedding is like 20 miles that way. You know, you can speak to that. But no, there's some crazy things like. But I think like you said about, you see the same heads and stuff like that. And it was the same when I was playing down there. I mean, even when you play locally, like I've held a residency down with the Bunker, which is an event in Derby, which has been going like 5 years now, and it's like it becomes like a little hub and a little kind of community around dance music and stuff like that. You see the same people, friendly faces and stuff like that, and it's great, really, you know. And I imagine when you were playing, you know, like Ink and stuff like that, you see the same people like week in, week out, and whatever.
Yeah, same people for sure. It's like, but it's like you say, you get your regulars, and it's like the tech house or house crowd, and then you get your little hip hop crowd, R&B crowd, and people just get to know you, so you build your name. So it's not a bad thing.
No, definitely. I think it's good for like fan building and fan base building, because because I think, you know, everybody's got to have, I can't remember where, I read it somewhere, it was something like, I think if you were like a DJ or a producer, if one person from your following spent a tenner on you a month, and like how big is your following and stuff like that, you can work out then realistically, like whether it was music or actually coming to watch you play or something like that, you can start to build like a financial career behind it that would back you up from doing it. So it's mad, because I think your fan base is like, it's so important, you know, nowadays, especially like social media and stuff like that. It aids you and helps you.
It's a lot easier to create that fan base.
Oh, 100%. You can create hype around it, especially in dance music. You know, you get a lot of acts that come through that maybe aren't the greatest producers or stuff like that, but they've got a great fan base behind them because they're doing the right things and, you know, being in the right places and playing the right sets and building the fan base up, and you create a bit of a hype around you, which is great, you know.
So you've played up and down the country.
Yes.
And now you started the production side of it.
Yeah.
Started producing.
Yeah.
And I saw a post probably about a year ago, I think, on your social medias, and there was a track, and I think you sent me a track on through Facebook Messenger or something. And I was listening to it. It's not really my thing.
Yeah.
Do you know, but I can appreciate the work that goes into building a track.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I thought, oh, this guy's got something, man. Do you know what I mean? He's got drive from the guy that rang me up and wanted to know about how to set up this, or set up that, to the guy who's actually like set it all up and is now producing.
Yeah, blowing his amp.
So you're now producing and you've got a couple of tracks out about.
Yeah. So I've been producing like 4 years-ish now. And it's all kind of been underground dance music. I started a little bit heavier, so it was more like techno-y. And then I've kind of like refined my sound a little bit. So I was producing a bit more tech housey, and then now I've kind of gone off in a different direction completely. And I think it's a bit crazy really when I look back and look from where I started to where I'm at now, because the sound is like totally different. But it's one of them sort of things that I think it wasn't until maybe the beginning part of last year when I started making music that I thought was maybe good enough to be signed. And then I got some good support from some quite bigger DJs, and then it kind of snowballed from there.
What was it like having like the bigger DJs play stuff?
Crazy, because it was like I didn't really have the smaller DJ support to begin with. It was like straight in. Like I sent some music over to like Patchy Topping and people like that earlier on last year and stuff like that, and he liked it, and then was kind of just trying to create a bit of a backlog then of sort of music that you can go, right, rather than going, well, I produced one track and now I need to go away for another couple of weeks and make another one. I kind of like stockpiled, and then I just fired it out, and then quite fortunate that like Jamie had picked it up and he'd listened to it and he wanted to sign it, so that was quite cool.
How was that feeling?
It was crazy, absolutely crazy. Me and my ex-girlfriend had been in Ibiza. Just we'd been out, and I can't believe we've gone down that road.
Roads lead to
I'd been in Ibiza, and we'd gone to Circle Loco on the Monday, and Paradise was at DC10 on the Wednesday, and I'd sent Jamie a load of music, but I didn't know whether he'd picked it up or downloaded it or anything. Like I wasn't really watching my SoundCloud page or anything like that. And then we come back, and then the Thursday morning I was sat in work, and my mate George, he'd sent me a message, like he sent me somebody's Instagram story, and he goes, "Is this your track?" And I was like, listen to it, and I was like, it sounds similar, but I don't think it is. I got back down, and then I'd had a flick through like Instagram, and I was like he's just played one of my tracks. I was like, oh my god, I was at work and I was like bouncing about, and I remember like it was just crazy feeling, and it was like, it's mad, because he was like, because I'd never actually physically seen anybody of that level play anything that I'd made in what was my mum's bedroom at the time, or in my bedroom, but in my mum's gaff. It was like, it's crazy. And then from there it was like shit. And then I kept scrolling, and I was like, oh god, he's played 2. And I was like, ooh, like I'm just some lad from Derby, you know what I mean? Like he's made some tunes in the bedroom, and it was like, I couldn't put 2 and 2 together. And then quite quickly after, I got like an email from him saying that he wanted to sign it, and I was like, ugh, like, crazy, but it was a great kind of stepping stone really, and it was good little confidence boost as well, because it's like actually the sound that you're working on, because the thing for me is the sound that I'm making, there's not many other people that are doing it, and it's a bit of a it's hard because it's like you've got nothing to compare it to, or you think, I don't know what label to send that to, or whatever, because there's nothing to compare it to, so it's quite difficult.
That's what sets you aside, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that it's crazy really when you look at it and you think, because me and my mates we're quite fortunate really that we've got quite a quiet taste in music, and it's not going with like the normal sort of naughty tech house sound, which is like going quite commercially like EDM did. We're quite fortunate that we got, whenever we play together and stuff like that, we all kind of fire different music at each other that's totally different, but it's normally quite old, from like 20-30 years ago, from like Paul Johnson, DJ Dion and stuff like that, which is like old school sort of music, but we've all kind of got a similar kind of feel for it. But it's mad to think that something that I've made is like, because it's so heavily influenced by it, but it's different from it, but it's like,
so finding your sound and finding what makes you in the music world is key.
Yeah, it is. It's so difficult because I think a lot of artists now fall into the trap of going, you've got like, I don't know, you have big records of the year and stuff like that. So, for example, like Latman last year or something like that, and then for the next 2 years you've got people that are trying to
recreate it,
and then all of a sudden the sound goes quiet, but ultimately he'll still be doing his thing because he was the pioneer of that type of
well, that's his sound, isn't it?
Yeah, that's his sound. And I think everybody has their own sound, and it just takes a little bit of finding. Like it took me a while to kind of get to, it probably took me a good 2.5-3 years to find the sound that I was happy with, and then after that it kind of, once you get that sound, it's like that's all you hear then, and especially from a DJ point of view, you try and get your sets to align to that sound, so it's like you then become a sound rather than just your productions.
So I get you.
Yeah.
So for someone who's now signed, what label you signed to?
Hot Creations.
Hot Creations label, signed.
Yes.
Get some dough out of it, or?
Not as yet. It literally got released a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, I'll, at some point, yes.
Wait for your PRS.
Something like that, yeah. Like hitting on my agent, like, come on, mate, it's all out.
So, from Derby,
started
DJing and producing at home as a younger lad.
Yeah.
You're not old, there's no crazy there, yeah?
I know, yeah.
You've been signed to a label.
Yeah.
And an agency?
Yeah, I've got an agent now. So, I'm with Paramount, so shout out Josh, who's absolute G, to be honest.
You've had radio play?
Yeah, I've quite recently had some support on Radio 1, which was crazy. Like, Danny Howard played, I think, two weeks on the bounce or something, which is crazy. Like, I grew up listening to like Friday Night Radio 1. It's mad really, because me and my mate Addy, we'd gone to the football in Derby, and nil at like half time, and then we'd gone outside like at half time to have a smoke, and then we were down there, and then because there's like no signal in Pride Park, my phone was going crazy, and I looked at it, and like people that I haven't talked to for years were like, Danny's playing music on radio, and I was like, the problem was I had no internet, so I was like, I can't even listen to it. So like my manager Sammy, he sent a screenshot of like the BBC Sounds thing over, and I was like, it was crazy. But it's mad for it's never something I thought would happen so soon, if that makes sense, because it's crazy. Like my first release was Hot Creations, and then to have Radio 1 play straight away, and Radio 1 is a massive thing for me, because it's like that's what I grew up listening to, Friday Night Radio 1 on the way to Taekwondo. It's standard, you know what I mean?
So I've been long before you got a set on.
Honestly, it's crazy really.
Yeah, it's good movements. So for somebody who's in their bedroom hoping to dream to sign to some sort of label, some organisation to help them push their music, what's your advice?
Don't rush it. Don't rush it at all. I think a lot of people, especially in dance music, they fall into the trap of, well, I need to be producing, and I need to be sending it to big DJs, and I need to be signed. And if you do that, then ultimately, like, you might send some music to like some of the bigger boys and whatever, and they might listen to it, and then they might think it ain't quite there, it ain't ready yet. You know, you're trying to send us something that ain't you yet, or you know, isn't the sound that fits their release structure or something like that. So for me, I think you need to, for maybe the first, I don't know, maybe 2-ish years, get to grips with the software that you're on, understand everything about it, and then kind of start producing records. Like, it probably took me, I don't know, of making probably about maybe 100 to 200 tracks before I started to think, I'm competent enough now on Logic, and I'm starting to find a sound that I like and stuff like that doesn't sound like anybody else. And it's a long process, but as long as every time you produce a track, you learn something from it and you get something out of it.
I think something from each
exactly, yeah.
Wow.
And I think also, like, I recommend especially if, like, I'm quite fortunate really that quite a lot of my mates produce. So sometimes I'll ping the music and think, well, what do you think of this? And I think sometimes getting honest and good feedback from people rather than going, yeah, mate, yeah, it's all right, when actually it's not, you know, and just having, I think a lot of people will, you know, that produce, we're very self-critical. Like, you're always striving for perfection that probably isn't there.
Yeah, shout out DJ Fever on that one.
Yeah.
Perfection. Yeah, for sure.
He is a wizard, to be fair. He is a wizard.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah. But I think it's such a hard game to crack, and it's just about taking your time. Don't rush it. It's one of them, like, people around you might start to succeed and stuff like that, and you see things on social media which connects everybody together, and you see them succeeding in what they're doing. Don't feel the need to try and rush it, and just take your time with it, because I made the mistake quite early on of trying to send music to people, and some DJs will probably listen the first time, maybe the second time, and then they'll think, when you see the email of that name come through, they'll think, I'm not going to listen to that because I know what it's going to be like. So sometimes it's better sort of holding back, getting some bombs together, and then going, right, I'm going to hit you with a 6-track playlist now.
Take your pick.
Yeah, exactly. Just see what you like. But one thing I would say is, if you are sending music to DJs and producers, make sure it fits their sound, because it'd be pointless somebody sending me like a trap track or something like that. Because although I can understand the production, exactly.
So put it in the right place, put it in the right
it's like me sending you music, you know.
Do research,
it's like me sending you house music. You know, you might think, yeah, the production sounds good, but you know, it's not really my vibe, so I wouldn't play it. It's kind of pick your audience as well.
But yeah, brilliant. So, where can people find you?
I am on, I think now I'm on every, like, music platform, so big up Jamie Jones and Hot Creations for that one. But you can get me on, like, Instagram, Josh Hvaal _, and then Twitter, Facebook. I'm on SoundCloud as well, Spotify, everything. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll get the addresses. We'll put them up at the end of the video, because I always say it every video and I forget to do it. So I'll do my best on this one. So the message is, don't give up. Take your time and learn your craft. Yeah,
definitely.
And if Josh from Derby can get through, then
cheers,
take the advice. That's what we're here to do, give you the good advice around setting yourself up and making sure that you can do it in the best possible way. And I'm sure if you're in the same kind of genre as Josh or Fever or Figure or anybody else doing their business type thing and succeeding, you got their social information, hit them up and then just like say, listen, what do you think of this? Or because nobody we've interviewed in the amount that we've done so far is going to say, don't get in contact with me. It's not going to happen. So this is why we're here. We're trying to bring you these people so that you can not only learn from them, but you can try and succeed yourself. So inspire yourself and be inspired by people like Josh. We're not supposed to be doing this because it's Corona, but we're going to do it anyway. You know what I mean? Because this is what it is. So yeah, look out for us. Follow the blog, subscribe, and this will be out soon. And look out for the one after, and go back and check the ones before, and we'll put the addresses up at the end. Shout out to Living Lounge again for allowing us to use the space and get this 6 chandelier in the shop. Thank you very much.